Hey there, Steve here, and today I want to talk to you about something that took me a lot of blood, sweat and tears, as well as countless hours of frustration to get right. So what am I talking about? Specifically, the popular email marketing software Convertkit. Now, Convertkit's probably the easiest one I've used out there online today, but it's still got its quirks and different ways to do things that can take you a long time to start out as a beginner. So to help you along that path, I wanted to show you all the things I've learned, take you from A to Z, from Convertkit 0 to hero, and we can do it in a quick and easy way by following this tutorial. So without further ado, let's get to it and let's start. So I want to run through exactly what we're going to cover in this Convertkit tutorial, and let's have a look at the outline. So first we'll look at pricing of Convertkit and the different options available. Then we'll look at the account creation process and how you can do that very quickly and easily. Then we'll move on to WordPress setup, so you can connect the Convertkit plugin to your account and use it seamlessly on your website. We'll then move on to creating your first opt-in forms and sign-up forms, which Convertkit's got loads of options for, really good, but we'll walk you through it step by step to help you capture those email subscribers. Then we'll start to look at some of the automation and rules within Convertkit, as well as autoresponder sequences, and starting to build that out for the first time, how you can do it. From there we'll move on to broadcasts, sending those emails to your entire subscriber base, all the people in your list. And finally, we'll consider the support and help options available to make sure you get the most out of your Convertkit experience, as well as how to do things like adding virtual assistants and even becoming an affiliate. So let's go. So to get started, if you go into a new web browser and go to stevebeal.com/convertkit, that will then take you through to Convertkit. Now before we do that, I just should say this is an affiliate link, so it means no difference to you, but it does help to support this channel and means that I can make more videos like this to help you and others around the world. So it'd be really appreciated if you could use that link to go through to Convertkit, as I'll show you now. So I'm just in a Google tab, and if I just go to stevebeal.com/convertkit, hit enter, and then it will take us through to the Convertkit homepage. And here we are to get started. Okay, so now we are on the convertkit.com homepage. First thing you'll see probably is this menu along the top. And first thing to cover then, let's have a look at the pricing, because obviously that's something we all really need to know before we sign up. And it's given us this feature overview for now. It's a little bit different to how I've seen it in the past. And also the bot pops up, so let's cross that. Now you can see start your next creative project for free. If you scroll down, you can by all means create a free account. In this case, I'm not going to do that because of some of the limitations. And if we scroll down, you can see it's got quite a lot of things here, but one thing that it is actually missing, if I scroll down a bit more, is automated email sequences, so those autoresponder things. So for that reason, I'd recommend we have a go at the free trial starting at $29 a month. Okay, and also you can see there's an annual price. If you paid for a year, then you'd save those $4 a month. So quite a good saving, $48 a year. You can also, if you're bringing over subscribers, you can do the slider to see, say 20,000 subscribers, how much it would cost you. And again, this is pretty common for email marketing software. Most of them have these kind of incremental scales of pricing. So let's click start a free trial. And we're taken through to here. Now, let's assume you're not, but if you are, then it guides you through the import process and what tools you've used before and so on. So it's pretty straightforward. In this case, let's just say, no, I'm just starting with email. And you can direct it to your website. Okay, you don't actually need to have a website, but let's assume you do. And then you've got WordPress. So you could see all the other options. And let's put in our email address. So in my case, I'll put the email for my website. Let's see. And password, and obviously we need to check the privacy policy in terms of service, that we're happy with those. Assuming you've done that, then you can click here and press get started. Okay, and then it takes us to this page, and it's immediately trying to welcome us and also to get us started on our Convertkit journey. Now this has come on a long way since I first started Convertkit. It's made it easier, but again, let's just go through it step by step. The first thing I'd actually recommend is that we go and get it set up in your WordPress website. So we can add the Convertkit plugin in there, and then we can immediately start putting the forms in as we go. So we're getting an idea of how they look rather than just developing them here in isolation. So what we'll do next then is we'll actually go over to my example WordPress website and install the Convertkit plugin to see how it all works and how it looks. So let's do that now. Okay, so I'll open my website in a new tab, and it's currently got no Convertkit on there. Let's do it for this demo, and we want to add the Convertkit plugin. So if we come down to plugins, add new, and up in the top right we simply search for Convertkit. Hit enter. Remember, it's one word, and you'll see this, at least this is the logo for now, and that's exactly what we want. Convertkit by Convertkit. Let's press install now. Now that's going to ask us to do a few other things back on the Convertkit website, which we'll do in the next steps. So I'll activate it, and it's gone through to my list of plugins. So far so good. And you can see down here it's got activate, so version 1.9, 1.9.2, and I can see the settings from there if I need to. So I have clicked settings, and these are the two key things we need to get Convertkit up and running. We need an API key and an API secret. Don't worry about exactly what they are, but they are standard for connecting plugins on your WordPress website with paid services. So if I click on get your Convertkit API key, I almost forgot what I clicked then, but I knew I needed to, then it will take me to this page on the Convertkit website, and I'm still logged in, and I will find it there. And so you can see I've got the API key down here, and if I single click and copy that, there, I'll just come back to my WordPress website and paste it. And equally the API secret down here. Now I'm going to have to pixelate this, but I press show and it will pop up, and it pops up on my screen. So again, it's a single click, copy and paste. And remember, these are unique for your Convertkit account. Okay, so that when I confirm this, that will now bridge the connection between WordPress and Convertkit. And then once we do save this, we can come back later and we can choose our default form for posts and pages. So it will actually put a form that we choose from our list over on Convertkit on those pages. Perhaps you want one of those pop-up forms, you know, to get as many subscribers, and you can set that as your default across the entire site with one click. So it's a really nice, simple process. For now, I'm just going to save my changes, and settings saved. Everything is connected as it should be. So now we've connected WordPress to Convertkit. It really is that simple. So what I can do next is I can click go here to create a form that I can deploy via my website. Remember, again, it's taking me to the relevant page on Convertkit. So it's asking, do I want a form or landing page? And as it says, you know, this would be embedded into your page, whereas a landing page is a standalone, so it's something unique of its own kind, more like a sales page. In this case, we're just going to do form. And again, you know, we've got inline appears just in the body of the text. Modal will be our pop out, slide in from the bottom, and a sticky bar from the top. So let's say we want to create a default form that pops up on every visitor or every page that people visit on our website. Let's go for a modal form. And we've got a range of templates to choose from. So let's choose Charlotte because it's already got a picture, looks quite visually appealing. And instantly now we can start editing our form. Now the first thing I would recommend doing our form creation stage is actually to change the name. So if I click the pencil icon, select and then delete one, anything that will be descriptive for you, and hit enter. See the pencil icon's back. Brilliant. Now incidentally, part of the reason why I like this with my site being about surfing, it's already got something from the sea, but perhaps I want something a bit more specific. And if I did click on the background option there, I can either upload one of my own, I can pull from Instagram, or I can use Unsplash. In this case, I'm going to use Unsplash, great royalty-free website where people very generously share things like stock photography, lifestyle, and so on, just in exchange for giving them credit. So it's a fantastic resource. So let's say I put my keyword surfing. Now, I really want one that is vertical, okay, because the display of that image was quite vertical. So perhaps if I choose this, there you go, it crops quite nicely into that picture. One thing I've found is if you did let's say a standard photo that was more horizontal, it doesn't crop, so it obscures what would be in this part of the picture with the white. So I'd look for vertical photos there. And I'd recommend just hitting that save button at regular intervals just to be sure, because the auto save isn't quite what I think it should be. And then we can add some text, okay, get our how-to guide. Maybe I'll just keep it simple and I'll just do a latest updates for now. Now this is where it comes in, your own email marketing strategy. How are you going to entice people to sign up for your whatever it is? Maybe it's a lead magnet, you're giving them something free. I've done free ebooks in the past that are pretty short but still valuable. They work really well. Depends at which point, you could say sign up and I will send you my free ebook, etc. In this case, I'll just keep it very simple, latest updates. And we can see it's just got first name and email address. Again, I really like that simplicity. I could drag and drop to reorder them, but just having a name then gives you the option to customize your email messages, as we'll see later on. And the email address then obviously is the crucial part of information you need. You can add more here if you need to, but I'm happy with that for now. So again, if I click here on the text, you see I've got that single click and I can change it. Now again, we want something that's sort of appealing, catchy and short. Sign me up, something informal to convey the right message for your readers. And you can also leave these. I don't know if you can change that anyway, but this text below is good and it shows it's powered by Convertkit. If you did want, you could change the background color, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks for now. So I'm going to save that again. From there, we can also have a look at the styles option. Now this is a Charlotte modal form. You could change that template or look in the library, and the other points we've already seen. If I go down to the cog icon, which has the settings, I can look at custom domain, where I could host it on a specific domain within my website, or I could use a Convertkit one to have it as a standalone, so I could send people to this as its own web page if I want. And you can customize your success message. So as soon as they hit sign me up, what do they see? Okay, and you probably do want something along these lines, although you could customize it, but you definitely want to give them a nudge to check that, because so many people don't actually confirm and you don't get to send them any more emails, communicate them with them in future. So again, in the purposes of keeping this simple, I'm just going to put my website in here. There you go, nice and easy. Again, you could redirect to an external page instead of showing this, and you can just check that there. That would take them to a specific page as soon as they've signed up again, instead of just the message. However you'd like to do it. So if I scroll down, and the display options, this is quite interesting. So it could be, so timing, you can have it, appear after the visitor's been on your page for 5 seconds. You can have it as a scroll percentage, so how much of that page have they scrolled down according to the bar here. Or you could have exit intent, and this is generally when they start, the mouse cursor starts moving up and down, or they start swiping back and forth, something like that. And there's some kind of smart technology, perhaps AI, that then triggers that. So, if they are going to leave, you could have it save them from leaving without asking them. But, those are probably not the kind of people who are going to be signing up for your emails anyway. So maybe we'll say, let's up that to about 10 seconds. 5 seconds feels a little bit short, although it is the default. So there's clearly some evidence behind why they've done that. And again, you can see you can, get into a bit more of the code. We're not going to cover that now because, we'll just keep things nice and simple. And which devices should see this? All devices, or do you want it mobile specific or desktop? One of the reasons why I like this shape is it looks like it's not going to be too wide to be all squashed on a mobile as well, because a mobile viewport, or the way users on a mobile would see it, would be quite narrow. So this should work for that. Some of the wider ones, yeah, it will adjust proportionally, but this one looks like it'll be good as is for all devices. And how often should a visitor see this? So if they've already seen it and hit the cross, didn't want it, will you repeat it again within 15 days? Again, that looks good to me. So let's leave that as the default. And what we'll do, we'll press save. Now we can preview it. Simply just takes away the sidebar, and that will pop up on our page as it is a modal form. You can press exit preview. Now I could get the embed code, and you've got your options here, but what I'd recommend at this point, again I'll save just once more to be sure, if I come back to Convertkit and I refresh my forms in the Convertkit settings page, then we have the option to deploy that as our default form in that list. So because it's modal, it will be on every page just from that simple click. I simply have to save those changes, and we've now got a Convertkit opt-in form on every page of our website. Pretty cool. Okay, so now let's go over to the website and see how a user would see it on the web page and how the form appears to them. So now I've just come back over into my standard Google Chrome browser, and I'll try and preview it as a standard user. So if I go to the website, we've got a time delay of 10 seconds. Perhaps I'll just continue as normal. And there it is. It pops up as expected. So you can see it's just what we thought, and it takes over the screen. So in this case, let's say I'll just put in my first name, and I'll put in a different email address for the purposes of this example. And I simply have to hit this sign me up button. You can see all the other points, they're all there. So if I press sign me up, then we get the standard success message as we'd expected. And well, that's pretty much it. It's that simple. Okay. From there, it will obviously need that person to then click on the link. So we'll have a look at how that looks to the users now as well. If I open my email, and instantly I've got this standard message, important, confirm your subscription, and it comes from my email address. So if I click on that, and there we go. Just need to click. Again, users have got the option to unsubscribe, change their profile however they like. So let's see what happens. And that's it. At the moment, it's just the standard page, subscription confirmed, etc. We can customize this further down the track, but for now that gets us up and running, and that is the process for capturing your first email subscriber. Pretty simple, huh? Brilliant. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick and say, just before we go on to the next thing, that actually that process is something that you should be doing all the time whenever you set up these automations, because although they can look right on paper or on the screen, sometimes they just don't really work. So it's a really good idea to be your first own email subscriber for any of this email marketing. And that's something I've learned from my own experience. from trying to make things a little bit too complicated with automations and so on, but just having a simple run through is so valuable, and I can't stress it enough. So definitely always be your first own subscriber. Okay, let's continue on to the next part of this tutorial. Now, before we move on, let's just go back and have a look at a couple more of the points around the forms that we could edit, just to be sure. So if I come up to the top, and you'll start to see this navigation bar at the top here, and we can scroll down, and here is the form that we created. So Surf Learner opt-in 1. Again, it's got the overview, the stats, and I can click on the link. It takes me through to edit it. So we covered the styles and the settings, and you'll see here that it says incentive email, and it asks if you want to send an incentive email. It's good practice to do that for sure. You can read more about it there, but what we can do is simply press edit email contents, and it will look familiar. Okay, so you can choose the sender's address. We've only got the one in there for now, and if you remember, this was the email that was to confirm subscription. So you can customize this to make it look a bit more welcoming and appealing. So if I go back, maybe I'll just put exclamation mark, and I can put some more custom text just to make it look like it's not just some automated process. Okay, and again, I could change the text on that button if I wanted to. I'll leave it for now, just keep it nice and simple, and press save. And there you go. So you've customized that. Hopefully you'll get a few more people signing up to it. Now, I wouldn't recommend auto confirm new subscribers. Again, that's not checked by default for a reason. People like to know that they've opted in. Okay, so you'll probably get lower rates of churn or unsubscribing if you leave that and you instead send the incentive email. So we'll go with that for now. And then this, after confirming redirect to, this is where you can then direct them to your incentive. Let's say your lead magnet, your free ebook, etc. The default URL here is just to a Convertkit page, or you can direct them to a download file. Let's say again, ebook, whatever it is, infographic, etc. So you're really giving the users that reward for signing up that you promise, so they can download it immediately. So definitely worth doing. And again, I'm going to hit save, and let's have a look at the next part. Now we're into the advanced settings. So change what's shown to visitors who have already subscribed to this form, in the sense that when somebody who's subscribed comes back to your site where this form would normally trigger, what do you want to do? Do you want to show them a form again? Probably not a good idea. Do you want to hide the form? That's probably recommended. Otherwise, it's going to be quite annoying if you think about it for your users. And you could show them custom content or send them to a subscriber page. I'll just go with hide the form for now, and again hit save. Last few points then, we kind of touched on these earlier. If I go to the embed options, I can again embed using custom code if I wanted to, or as we talked about WordPress, you can put the short code in a WordPress blog post, as we'll cover a bit later using a different form. If I cross that, we can then also view our reports here specifically for this form, and you see you get a breakdown, kind of what was already shown to us in the sort of card version of this opt-in on a previous page, and it gives you an idea of how it's performing, and also top referrers and so on, so you can see where they're signing in. Equally, you can download the subscriber list just for that form. So as you can see, Convertkit forms pretty comprehensive. Really good idea to have that modal form in as your default on every page. Now from here, this time let's go back and create another form, but a slightly different type. So we're back on the forms page, and we scroll down, we can see a different range of things to do. This time let's press create new down the bottom right, and again we'll go for a form. This time let's have a look at an inline form, because we've got the modal, and these kind of feel pretty similar to me. They're appear on just about every page we want. Inline, we'll just put it in one post, perhaps a bit less obtrusive and a bit more, integrated into our content. And if I click on it, again, I've got the options here, different things. Now, this time, instead, what I'll try is just a simple approach, very minimalist. Let's go for the Claire form. I click choose. You can see this is just going to put the name and email. So you're probably going to want to put a bit of text around it in your page. So before we start, first thing again, let's rename it. Let's give it some unique name. So maybe I'll start using just a SL for my Surfliner site. And let's say SL inline 1. Hit enter and we've named it. And I'll press save. Again, just to be sure. In terms of over on the style side, if you did start inputting things and changing things a little bit and you realize actually this isn't going to work, there's a nice feature here where you can actually change the template and it will try to adapt what you've already done. So that's quite cool, but I'm just going to work with this for now. So again, okay, we'll leave that as was, and send email. If I just check, now this is actually gone back to default, so perhaps we'll take the email from earlier that we did and copy and paste that in. So I'll just go and grab that now. Okay, so that now is the same as before, and I could just scroll down and save it. Brilliant. And again, let's say we'll hide the form for anyone who's already subscribed. So that's to be courteous and give them a better user experience, because again, we can't force people to sign up, but there you go. So I'll save it and preview. And essentially that's all it's going to be, right? As I said, very minimalist, but we can put this in the middle of our text so users will have to read it, and we can put text around it. So if I exit my preview, again, we've got those embed options and a nice extra feature here with the cog icon up in the top. I can actually archive, delete, or duplicate. So if I did want to work with all the same settings, that's a great feature. I can duplicate across and then just change the template from there. So it's a really handy thing to know, quite easy to do as well. And there, I'll just save it again. Now if I go back over to my WordPress dashboard, this is where I can put this form in a post. So let's say the latest one, I'll just have a look at this for now. Let's embed the Convertkit form we've made into a post. Now placement is, up to you, but you really probably want it to be in the top third of the post. Not so soon that they haven't had a chance to decide on your content, but not so late that it's maybe 3 or 4 swipes down on a mobile device. So maybe I'll put it in here. Now if you're using WordPress Gutenberg editor, you will see like this. If not, then you can simply use the embed option on the older WordPress editor as well. Now just to be clear, if I come back over to here, so I can press the embed button in here on the form edit page, and we can take JavaScript. Now if the JavaScript doesn't work, you could just take the HTML. Don't worry too much about it. One of those should work fine in WordPress. And copy. So if I press the plus icon, and then if I press custom HTML and paste it in, then I can preview that immediately. And you can see all looks good. Now, before I do any more, I will just add a quick header in here to draw attention to it. Maybe I'll add a separator as well to really sort of segment it from the text. And there you go. Now let's just update and view the post to preview the changes. And there it is. We've got our inline form embedded into our WordPress page for our Convertkit account. And like I said, this is very minimalist, but it's nice and clean and easy to do. And it just sits right in there, and the eyes will go over it as well. So people will see it. So now we've got, not only have we got the form on every page, but then we can start putting this into different pages as needed and collect more and more email addresses. Okay, so I've got my forms. Now we can go back to ConvertKit, cross that, and continue on with getting our email marketing up and running. And we'll now look at automations. So if I click on it, and we'll come to that page. Now I just wanted to jump in again just to say a few points about automations. They're really good, and they're what makes email marketing software so valuable. At least they're a large part of it. There are other things that are great as well, but you can get lost in them. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to keep it nice and simple and just add a few simpler things to help us on our way to managing our email subscriber lists and so on. You could look at more of the advanced features later on, but I'm just going to keep it simple for now. Okay, so let's work through it, what we need, and let's get on and have a look at ConvertKit automations. So the first time you visit these pages in ConvertKit, you might get the pop-up for the tutorial, but you can cross out of that and we'll continue on. Now, actually what we're going to do really is create a rule. Okay, so if you create rules here, or click rules rather, and again we've got more tutorials, but we'll just go straight in for the add rule option. And you know, there's so many ways you can do these. You can get very complicated with them if you like, but for now what we'll just do is simply add a tag to any user who subscribes through a form. So you can see when this happens, the event, do this. So if I press subscribes to a form and then I choose my form, so let's say we go for the inline, then you can add them to a sequence, take them off a sequence, but we're just going to add a tag. And you can choose existing ones from there, or you can create new. So let's say SL inline subs. Now again, depends how you're going to use these further down, but having the tags is really useful, nice way of sorting. So I press save rule. You can see that rule is now enabled. Nice and simple. If I go back, look to add another one. Let's say subscribes to the other form was our opt-in, and again I can create a new tag. Now these in themselves aren't that useful in the sense I'm just using the name, but if you know where you're placing your forms, your tags can then correspond to that, so it can be really helpful giving you that idea. And if I press save, again my rule is there, so you can quickly see your automation rules under automations and rules. We can also just have a quick look at the integrations. And again, this depends what other third-party apps you're using already. Maybe you're using lead pages to help with your opt-in forms and sign-ups, Shopify stores, Samcart, all the kind of things you'd expect to see. Gumroad's a nice one as well for ebooks and so on. I've been using that with other websites. And then you can go through and integrate them as needed. However, what we'll do here is we'll actually start building out a sequence over in the sequences section and then come back and add another rule. So that's all on automations for now. Really just sticking to rules, keep it nice and simple to help us manage our workflow. So if I go over to sequences, these are really helpful. These are what many people would refer to as autoresponder sequences, or can be what people call email funnels as well. Again, another fantastic bit of automated work that email marketing software does for you. Now we've got our option. Again, we can press new sequence. So let's see. Just give it an indicative name for now. Again, you'd want to use something more descriptive to help you with your own. But let's say create sequence. Put the green success message, and I'm straight into my sequence building. Now again, before we build out this brief sequence just for this example, it's worth noting that email autoresponder sequences or funnels can be quite frustrating for readers and subscribers, so you've got to bear that in mind. I know personally that I've been on some when I've willingly submitted my information to subscribe, and then I felt like I've just been spammed and I just want to run away and hit unsubscribe as soon as possible. So think about the intervals and the timing you want. Now, I would probably go for not more than twice a week, to be honest, because yes, you have the option to do it more frequently than that, but really, how many emails from someone do you want Obviously it depends on the urgency of what you're delivering or offering, but in most cases for a general email list, you probably want to spread it out a bit more than you'd think, because when you're the creator, it's very easy to have that bias and think about it from your perspective as get them on as quick as possible or get the emails out as quick as possible, but try and maintain that focus on the end user, the subscriber. So let's have a look how we do this and a couple of the features we can use along the way. So as you see, we're in here now and we've got this first draft placeholder content from Convertkit. What we can do though, we'll just get straight in to start building it. So we can actually get rid of the subject line and put our own. Now just note a couple of the other points. You'll see the emails start to queue up over on the side. It does notify if there's draft. You can rename the sequence here. You can also update the status there. And you've got the intervals for when you want to send. Again, you can send one day after the last email. You can choose days that you don't want them to go out. So there's lots of different things you can do there. You can also look at filters as well, okay, excluding certain people from these emails. And you can delete here. You get the browser and the email preview as well, which is quite nice. Now at the time of recording this, you can see Convertkit are offering a new editor. They may roll this out more widely. So if I click on that, then it changes how you edit the text in here, and we'll walk through the other version in a moment, but it really puts all the menu options over on the left with the plus icon, and then you cross. However, if I go back to the previous version and just press yes, it's a little bit easier for the purposes of this demonstration and guided example. So let's put our first subject line. Again, my site is about surfing, so what's going to be our subject line? Something that makes them want to open it. Now you can see I've just put in, you don't want to miss this in block capitals at the end. Just be mindful that email subject lines, especially when read on mobile apps, is probably how most of us are reading them these days, are going to be quite short. So think of it visually, try and keep it to about that length, a little bit shorter. You can check the exact character counts on different mobile devices, but pretty short and to the point, but also attention grabbing. So that is an example first subject line. Then if I remove this placeholder content, I can start to write my first email message. Now one of the first things you'll notice here is actually the personalize option. And if you saw when I hovered over, it says insert merge tags, because essentially it's just like a standard mail merge, but obviously pulling from a database with your subscribers' information. So we got subscribers name with fallback. I would recommend this one because I like it. In case somehow they've managed to leave it blank, you can have a slightly customized welcome or greeting so it doesn't look completely wrong if something's gone wrong in the process, or if you don't want to put their first name in some forms and you do in others. Maybe some forms are just capturing the email, then it can do both ways. So it would just be hello there for fullback and hello David for full name, etc. So it covers both bases. If I click that, you'll see instantly it does this. And again, you can see hello subscriber first name and else hello. So we know it just does that. Maybe I'll put in there as I mentioned, and that's done. So we've got a greeting covered for everyone. If I just put the cursor there, hit enter, onto the next line. Something you might want to do as well, and this is with the text in general, if you highlight the text and you come over to here, you can actually increase the font size. So let's say 16 is probably good for people on mobile devices, just to grab their attention that bit more. Okay, and maybe let's make 16 as our standard throughout. And again, when we're writing this email or any of these emails, you really want to keep it snappy, formatted nicely, so you can use a brief introductory line and then maybe a couple of bulleted points, as I'm going to do now. And I'll just pause the video so you can see it at the end. So I've just gone ahead and written a first email message to send out. Obviously being mindful of the fact that it's the first real contact you're going to have with them, and also, like I said, trying to format it, keep it snappy, easy to scan through and read, because again, people reading emails, not everyone's going to read every word, so we've got to be aware of that and be realistic. So let's say, first of all, it's great to have you, and I look forward to helping you on your journey as you learn to surf. So they'll be expecting that topic. In the coming weeks, you'll be in for all kinds of fun and helpful content and then I've run through some bulleted stuff that really makes them realize they're getting this extra value. So lots of bulleted information and really helpful, insightful stuff, not just repeating what they already know as well. And then just a quick wrap up. That's all from me now. I'll catch you soon and happy surfing. Okay, and a nice sign off. One thing as well, you might notice down here, it's actually got a quick word count. You know, it depends on the kind of emails you're sending, but just for quick updates, you probably want to keep it to about this length. Let's say 100 words or less. So think about that, but that should work as a nice first email. Now you can do things like adding images in here, inserting files. You can put links, of course, but in this case, let's say you probably don't want to do much more than perhaps things like bolding. So if I select bold, you know, you can then maybe even bold this list. If I just press Ctrl and B, and that does stand out nicely. When we get sending out links to content, then yes, we're going to use the link option and get a little bit more into that side of things. I'd advise against perhaps sending images that often, because they can come out a bit funny. Again, depending on what device they're looking at, sometimes they're not always great. So my personal advice to keep email for text mainly, and then link out to other visual things, but it's up to you how you want to work it. So if we scroll up, then we probably want to preview that in our browser first of all. And there you go. You'll see it almost exactly as it's going to come. Now, this font might be a bit different to what they would actually see. It's just in browser, but it gives you a good idea. Okay, that looks fine. If I cross it, if instead I did the email option, then I can see the true email, and that's always worth doing just by sending preview. I'm not going to do it right now, but it does give you a nice clear idea of exactly how it's going to be. I'll also hit save at this point just to be sure, and let's actually publish that. So if I do active, now it will then start to ask us information that we haven't yet entered, because we're on this part of the journey. We haven't done it so far. So your company name and your name. So let's just say, now just a point about this, again, email marketing, laws around this kind of thing. It does mean we're supposed to show our address for transparency. It also helps that authenticity and trust in you as a marketer, as someone who's sending out emails. So do complete this at this point, because it will then append it to the end of your email. If you've got a business address, you can use that. If not, you can use your home address, but it is common practice in email marketing, so definitely do it right. Now, I've filled this in. I'm just going to save and add it to my account. And of course, I've chosen blogging as my niche, but if you click on here, then you may well find a more appropriate niche for you. So I hit submit, and there. Now we will see that information appended to all of our emails, as is best practice and legally recommended. So if you go back and preview it again, you will see it at the bottom of your email, and it's nothing to be worried about. If you check most of the email subscriptions that you're part of, they will all have it as well. And after I submitted that information, I still need to press active. For some reason it just reverts to draft, and I can press save all. And so what we've got now, I've put the information in, is that it will append my physical address and details to the end of all the emails, which is actually a legal obligation. Not recommended, as I said earlier, it's a legal obligation. So if you are doing any email marketing, you must do that. So be sure to do it and do it properly. Now, we can add a second email onto this sequence just by pressing the add email button over on the left. And you can see again, it just starts to give us this visual idea as well. Just a note, if you did want to drag and drop, you can do that to reorder them very quickly and easily. Now in this case, maybe I only want to send this one after 4 days. Like I said, not more than maybe twice a week. And I'll leave it as draft for now. And okay, it's telling me to write compelling subject line and so on. What you might want to do is actually to go back to your first one, press Ctrl and A to select all, and paste in the content. So you've got very similar, start off, and maybe just then delete your key points. Again, depends how you're going to do it. Thinking about this as a second part of the journey or a second step in the journey, then you start to turn to however you're going to develop this marketing funnel or this autoresponder sequence in Convertkit. And that also comes to a broader point about email marketing strategy, because you know it's all well and good capturing someone, but to actually do what you need to do to achieve your goals, you really have to think about this in terms of psychology, development, and how, you know, how many days, what content at which points. And that's something to map out before you really start doing this, or at least have a rough idea and then test and see what happens. So I'm going to hit pause now and write a compelling email and save it and show you what I've done. So I've just written up a message. Again, you know, short, are you making this mistake when surfing? You can take a lot of good ideas for these kind of subject lines from YouTube titles of popular videos in your niche. And then I've just filled out the body here, giving them some context, people I know have said this, and also having a simple fix to this common problem. Then I've got pretty much a call to action here. They don't want to miss this super in-depth guide, etc., etc., all bolded as well. And what I've saved for now, just because, you know, I wanted to show you the link option. If I highlight it, then I can insert a link. Okay, so insert link, and that's where I take the link to where I want to send them. Okay, so I can just pull a link. I mean, this one isn't exactly relevant, but if I did that, copy, paste the URL in, then that's pretty much it. Now, link triggers are quite nice, but you need to set them up in the rules. So if somebody clicks this link, then you can track who's done that, or at least numbers of people who are. So you can start to get an idea how many people are clicking links, which links are working, which ones are best, etc. I'm going to leave that for now. I'll just put open link in new tab. And again, if I did tag subscribers, I could tag them from here, or I could create a new tag as well. So let's say sequence 1, click. You'd want to give it a more informative name, but just as an example, and insert. And that's done. So I've got my link there, and also I've got tags. If I single click on it, I can test the link just by pressing Control and clicking on the black space there. Great, that opens as I thought. And I can also edit the link if I need by clicking there. Now just note, if you've got a link trigger, you'd have to clear the trigger first before you can change the link, because you can see it's grayed out. No bother. I'm happy with that. And I can change the text here as well, or on the page. If you want to leave without saving the changes, just press cancel. If not, just press edit. And there you go. You've got your second email in a sequence. Just remember to press active. And for some reason it didn't save earlier, so I'll press again 4 days and hit save all. So there it is. You've got the start of an email sequence or an autoresponder sequence in Convertkit. You can do so much with that, get super creative, expand it out to months if you like, but just think about it and yeah, develop it, use all the tools. It's really easy, as you could see, and it's a fantastic option to have. So that is how to build your email autoresponder sequence in Convertkit. But wait, before we go on, I should add that if you want to automate the process of adding users to this sequence, then you can do that easiest by going to automations, then rules, as I'll show you now. So we might have stumbled on it earlier, but I just want to make it crystal clear. Okay, so we're in automations, and then easiest way, click rules, and we'll see obviously the rules that we've already created as we've gone along so far, but we can add another rule. So plus add rule, and the easiest is where you come into here. Let's say subscribes to a form. So if somebody's getting your lead magnet then you can put them onto a specific sequence. So subscribes to a form. Again, let's say it was the opt-in, and you then subscribe them to a sequence. And now we've got our sequence here, so we can connect that up and save that rule. Job done. Okay, so it's that simple. One other point to note about your sequences is that you might actually want to put a link at the bottom saying opt out of this series of emails, because obviously sequence might not be a term the subscriber's familiar with, but that would mean that they don't unsubscribe from your list entirely, but you give them the option just to opt out of that sequence. So that might be a nice option to add in as well. Again, in the rules, and it was unsubscribe to a sequence as well. But you'd put the link in the bottom a bit more manually, but you could do it in every one just to be sure. Okay, so from there, we've done sequences. Let's have a look now at broadcasts. Just thought I'd pop on here again. Just check you're not snoozing on the job or anything. No, just joking. But before we go on to broadcasts, I just wanted to say really what they are and so on. Basically, your broadcasts, for me, it's always a term that never really stuck in my mind. I found broadcast a bit of an odd name for it, but it is your mass email. Probably the main reason why you are looking for something like Convertkit. And so you can send these out to your entire subscriber list, or you can send them out, you know, for your latest updates, filters and tags, as we'll look at now. But basically this is the core of the email marketing software. It's just more of your standard push notifications and messages. Okay, so we'll get into how you do it and all the options you've got now. Okay, so let's build out our first Convertkit broadcast. Now, by default, you can see that there is a new broadcast already here in draft. So it gives you an idea of how to start. Again, you've got the new broadcast button over here. I can just press edit as well. And notice you've got a search function and a bit of an overview of the different types of broadcasts you've got. Processing is just after you've hit send. It does take a while for them to go out, because let's say you've got 1,000 people, it has to queue them up and do them in batches. Queued is when you've actually got it set on a time release and it's not yet gone out, but it's waiting to, and obviously completed has been sent. So I'll press edit and you see it loads out this form here. So the first one is you can actually choose sending address. Now by default it's the one you signed up with, but you can see here you can add a new one if you need to. So you can have multiple accounts, which is really nice. Then below that we've got matching any of the following, or sorry, matching all, and if you choose you could have all, any or none of the following. So you can select the criteria, and if you do make a mistake with the roles, or the rules rather, you can cross them here. Again, if I choose all subscribers, I can edit. So let's say I just want to do it to subscribe to forms. Okay, and I could choose the type of form in the drop down and update. And you see I've got an and option, you know, pretty much simple Boolean stuff here where I can add another filter onto the same one. And then below you can add another level, perhaps people who you want to exclude. So let's say press there, press none, and you've got a huge range here, as you can see. You know, it can get very, very granular. Distance from a city even, geographical location, segments. Let's say cold subscribers, so people who haven't, as per Convertkit's terms, engaged with any of your email content within the last 90 days. So maybe you want to exclude your cold subscribers. You get better engagement from them. If you get lower engagement rates, sometimes email service providers, their end, might judge your content to be spam. So that is one thing you can do. So you can set these up. Again, you can get as complicated or as granular as you like. As you can see, these are called filter groups, okay, in Convertkit. So adding a filter group is that. Now you can add a broadcast description. So this is really for your own records. So let's say something like that. Again, you want to be more descriptive. Tagging them is going to help you look back and see at a glance what was in that broadcast. So that will help you to review and reflect on what you've done so far. And again, if you need to delete anything, you've got your delete button down the bottom here. So if I scroll back up, now I've got an option. I can either press next step or I can click content. Okay, they are one and the same. So I'll click content, and as you can tell, this is where we will add our email content. Now, previously in the sequences, I only used the legacy editor. This time, just to give you an idea of how it works, let's have a look at the new editor. Again, when you're watching this, this may have already been rolled out and enforced, so it's good to have an idea of how it works in more detail. And so the first thing we see, we've got our email subject line. Now, we talked about trying to make these catchy, so I'll just pause as I do that. But what you'll also notice, before I pause actually, you've got an A/B testing option here, which is really nice. So you can split test and see exactly what works and what doesn't. So you get an idea of which ones get the most opens, so you can then start to hone your own email subject lines. Just a word of warning, only make one change, okay? Because if you're doing more than one change, you're not going to know what change affected the outcome. I've done that in the past, and I've gone a bit gung-ho and written completely different subject lines. You know, I'd say it'd be the difference between maybe starting with an emoji or using capital letters for one word and things like that, so you can then incrementally increase. I mean, it's never perfect because you're never going to know exactly the same people reading it, but just keep it to one variable, one change per test. So back to the program, I'm now going to write those subject lines, and let's see. So I've just written up my two subject lines, and you know, as described, I've just put one keyword in capitals and one not, and that would be a good test for the A/B testing to have a very good idea. Like I said, you could put emojis in there. I quite like that when I've sent them out in the past, but for this one I'm just going to try the capitals. Otherwise they're all in title case, first letter is capitalized, so you've got a genuine comparison there. And I should add that, you know, I'm doing this as a test account from scratch, but when you've got a real account, it's very easy and clear to see the analytics. It tells you the winner in terms of open rates out of your two A/B tests as well. So that's always a nice thing to have. Okay, now if I come down to my email content, using the new editor, you can see I've got the plus icon over here. And when I press that, in line with the text, I've got these options. So I can add an image, file, button, video, divider, and so on. Now, the personalization is probably where you want to start. And this gives us this dialog box. And as we did before, I'd probably recommend this subscriber's first name with fallback, just as we've done in the past. So that's taken care of. Hit enter, new line. And again, let's press that plus icon. Let's see what we've got. So you can put a video in there. It's a really nice touch. Obviously, we've got a personalization. Now a snippet, that's not something we've come across before, but that's a really nice option to have. So if I press snippet, now it guides us through, create reusable blocks of content that you can use in any broadcast sequence or email. So I can access them through account settings. Now I can click there, but just to show you, and the account settings are something we'll come on to after this. If I click on my account name, you can see they are here, okay, content snippets. So let's go in that way for now. So snippets obviously give us the opportunity to reuse things, but we also want to avoid the temptation of being formulaic. Okay, so we've got to think about them in the broader use, but just for now, let's do a functionality test and get an idea of how they work. And again, it gives us this overview, and I can view archived snippets there if you've archived any. So if I press new content snippet, then it gives me this dialog box. So first thing, to give it a name. So let's say I'm just going to do my Surf Learner call to action, click blog post, because maybe I could use some kind of formulaic text there to call them to that action. Again, want to be careful not to use it all the time. I could vary it, but just as a start. And if I come down the content, again, we're into the new editor, so we've got to use that now. So if I click down here, I can add an image and all the other points we've seen before, personalization, etc. Depends how you want to play that. But if I just want to add text, I don't need to press the plus icon. I can just add it in line. So I'll pause as I do that. Okay, so I've just put a bolded short sentence that is a call to action with some urgency and leading them then. I could put the link below that or a descriptive bit of text, however I like. And that's it. You know, I've just bolded it, put one word in capitals, and I can save it. And you'll see that it pops up here. And so what this code does then is that effectively becomes, you know, like part of the mail merge type functions we've seen before. And when you go into your broadcast, as we'll do in a moment, you get the option to simply insert that seamlessly. So let's go back to our broadcast. And you can see this is saved where we left off. So I'll go back to edit broadcast. And remember, you've got the 3 steps. So it's taking me back to step 1 now. Let's go to content, step 2. And perhaps I want to save this just to be sure again. And so if I put a new line, when I press the plus icon, that is where I can add my snippets. You see if I scroll down, and there it is in the dialog box as it wasn't there before. So I'll press add to email, and that will have my call to action. Again, I want to wrap some text around that, so maybe I'll do that now. Could also do a snippet as a sign off if you're going to add that as well. So I'll pause as I add some text around my snippet. Okay, so I've just gone in and added some of that text around it. Again, trying to build up to it, and then my snippet. Now obviously in this case I would need to put a link, so I can just take one from my website shortly and put that in, and we can have a look in the next stage at the preview. So I'll just go and grab a link from my blog and let's see how it looks. Actually, as I do that, I'll show you something along the way. So let's say I wanted to put this article in. What I'd recommend actually, instead of putting a raw URL, is put the descriptive text. Now that's recommended by Google in terms of accessibility as well. Let's say people with visual impairments, anybody who's using some kind of screen reader, they don't recommend putting a raw URL. So what I can do is copy the URL and then also copy the title. Now I'm on Windows 10, so if I press the Windows key and V, you see my clipboard. So I can click on that because this is anything I've copied in the past. And if I highlight it, then I can press the link button and press the Windows key and V again, and I've got my link. Again, I can add a tag here however I like. Maybe I'm going to bold that, make it really clear. I can do a few other things, as you can see on highlighting. Lots of little options, and the little drip icon actually lets you change the color if you'd want. I'm going to leave it because I quite like the colors. They stand out and they're already recommended and pre-formatted. So provided this all looks good to me, then I can perhaps again press save just to be sure, and I can preview it in a browser. So we get the pop-up. Now that looks a little bit different to what I was expecting, probably because I put a line break in to my snippet where I didn't show you that, but I put a line break. So I want to go and change that at the snippet level, and perhaps I've already also put a line break in here as well. So let's close that. So I'll go and edit my snippet just to take that line break out. Content snippets. Remember, I'd saved it before I did that as well. Click on it, and then you can see I'll just remove the line break and press save. Again, if I go back to broadcasts, I could use the back button, but you know, let's do it this way. Edit broadcast, click content, step 2. Hopefully you're getting familiar with the flow of Convertkit now. And then let's see if I preview this in browser. Okay, that looks better. I've got one less line, nice line break. So it does look like it'll insert a line break after a snippet, but that's something we can, you know, hone as we go further along. Nice and clear. Maybe press Control and test that, and it opens fine in a new tab. Great. Just close these. Okay, so we've obviously got our email in place now. A couple of other points to look at then. If we look over on the right hand side, we've already done the preview in browser mode, the pop-up. You can also at this point preview with any email you like, and this is a nice option. So if I press that, and then I can send a preview, to my email, which I've just done actually. If I flick over to it, you'll see it here. And so we get a real idea of how it's going to look. And if I click on it, well, I should say before I do, you start to notice, at least in my Gmail, you do see a snippet here. So that is going to help. You can think about that, those first few words or that first welcome line, etc. That can really help to get an open rate that is better as well. Now, first name goes here. It won't be like that for them, but just for my test, that's how it looks. And you can see it looked a little bit different to the browser preview we had earlier. This is exactly how your subscribers will see it. And you can see it's Steve at Surf Learner via Convertkit. Okay, so that really gives you a much clearer indication. So I'd recommend, if I just close this, using the email preview in the content pane. That's a nice way to do it, and make sure you don't miss anything crucial at this point. Now, email templates. These are a little bit more advanced for design and so on. We can talk about them shortly, but if you do have any setup, they will pull through into here. Okay, so depends how you set them up and what you name them as, but you can use your templates at this point. And if I scroll down, you've got a help guide here if you need it, and also you can save. So actually I'll just save as always, and then I'll flick on over to the preview. So in the preview window, then we see the title, at least the first title. Then we've got, if you've done the split test or the A/B test, you'll see it below. It also explains the logic, so it sends each version to 15%, therefore making up 30%, the two, and then the winner goes to the remaining 70% after 4 hours. So it does take a little bit longer, but again, it should be improving the quality, enhancing your open rates and so on. Down below, you can preview as a subscriber. Again, as I've only got myself as a subscriber at this point, it won't let me do that, but you will see a list of those. Personally, I would recommend just previewing, in the previous window, unless there's a specific purpose for doing it here. And then again, we're seeing the same email, just to be sure. For some reason, it gives you the option to delete down there. Not sure why you do that at this point, but anyway, over on the right, then you get an overview of what's there. And it tells you, the status, how many recipients, and it's set in this case to default at send immediately. So if I click schedule, then maybe I can send it tomorrow. And if I do that, then it will ask me for the time as well, and well, the hour and the minutes. And you can see it's at Eastern time, so it is for US audiences initially, but you can calculate that time, US Eastern time. And so if I want to change it back to now or immediately, I'll just press unschedule, and there it is, back to immediately, instead of trying to work out the time. I've got the option to send my broadcast at this point as well, or I can save the draft. And in this case, let's just hit send and see what happens. So you get your last warning, are you sure? Click send. And then it will take you through and give you the green success message at the top, and it will tell you what process. So it's processing, and again, it depends on the size of your email list of how many subscribers, but it will take a little while. So it's only got one recipient, but you can see you get how many of those emails have been sent, percentage of open rates, click rate, clicks, and unsubscribers. So you get a nice overview immediately below, and it'll start to populate then with all the broadcasts you do. So if you do want to reuse a broadcast, let's say, you can click the title, and first of all, it'll give you the overview, including the A/B test results. And in this case, they are pending, but it does make it very clear how a winner comes out. And again, we've got more of these stats, just in a bit bigger format. And over here, you've got the duplicate option. Okay, so that'll take a straight copy. If I click on content, I can copy and paste just the text if I want, or again, I can still take the duplicate at this point. And the share option is quite nice if you need to share that content with someone who doesn't have access to your Convertkit account. So if you press share, then it will add it to this domain ckarchive.com, and you can then copy and paste that and send it to maybe your virtual assistant or whoever you need, depending on the situation. but that's there as well. So if I go back to all broadcasts, it's still processing, but either way, that will go out very shortly. And that's it. We've done our Convertkit broadcast to our email list. Fantastic. Now, a couple of other points. So I did say I would have a look at email templates. So if I click in the account link here, you get the drop down and you can see templates. Now, by default, this email template is just text. Personally, I quite like that. I'm not doing any kind of design work with my emails, but if you do want to do that, then you can have a look at new email template over on the right. And you can pull from existing ones, or you can create your own using an HTML editor. You can see this one has an image at the top, and this one has more formatting and heading. So let's choose this one just as an example. Again, the first thing I'd recommend is to click on the pencil icon to rename it. So SL template 1 and hit enter. And you can see when I hover at the top, this is the new editor again. I can enter text in here, or I can put some of these blocks of functionality in here as well. Now, in terms of these, I can change the styles and so on over here, but I can't actually edit the text. It's one thing I find a little bit clunky about Convertkit, if I'm honest, that this just seems a little bit confusing. The fact that you can have to add text here, but you can't edit the template. But either way, you can get as creative as you like over here on the right. And if I save that, and let's say if I go back to email templates, you'll see I have it here. And also if I went to broadcast, then this is where you can deploy your template. If I do a new broadcast and hop straight over to content, just leaving the default settings for this example, you can see the template is here. So I can deploy that and it will populate my template. In this case, it's pretty much just got this border, but you can customize those as you need. So that is how your email templates in Convertkit can be customized and then inserted into your broadcast. Now let's move on to look at some of the account features in Convertkit to make sure you're getting the best out of the platform so you can maximize its use and you really get bang for your buck. Now we've already seen here that you've got this constant help option here, and it will show you your previous conversations. You can send messages or you can search the knowledge base to get help. Really nice feature. If I scroll up and I click on my account name, you can also see you've got the Convertkit Community, which is a great addition. And then it becomes a really nice knowledge base, sharing with other users. You can search through, have a look, questions about each one as they correspond to your Convertkit dashboard as well. So a really good value add there. You can answer as well, just like your standard online communities, and you do get a score as well. Really good feature. Hasn't been in there that long, but it's been really nice to have it. So if I close that, another few points to note. If I click on the drop down here, now we've seen some of these, but if you are working with virtual assistants and outsourcing some of your work, you can securely add team members in the team option to Convertkit. So if you want to add an assistant or another team member, you press the team button there and then invite a team member, name and email address. It really is that simple. And as you can see, you've got your two defined roles: an admin, access to everything, so obviously one of your trusted colleagues, team members, etc. An editor, however, they can do more of the content side, but they can't change the account level settings. So probably more for high level partners, things like that, whereas these more assistants. And you simply invite, and once you've done that, you'll see that it's pending until they accept, and then you're ready to go. They can help you with your Convertkit email marketing campaigns as well. So a great option. And you can refer a friend down here in the referrals tab. You might also want to become an affiliate, which is something that's really easy to do with Convertkit. If you go to account info, at the bottom, you've got the option become a Convertkit affiliate. If I click the link, again, this was my test account for this tutorial. So you get the option. You see Pat Flynn here from smartpassiveincome.com. You can become an affiliate, or you can press the join button here. If I join, it takes you through to a type form to enter your data, and you've got a very simple process. Obviously, I'm not going to bore you with all of that right now, but it does say it takes 4 to 6 weeks due to a high volume of applications, so you can see just how popular Convertkit is. So there you go. And if I come back a page to my account info, you'll see you get the affiliate link here. Now that'll probably change once you become an affiliate. I can't remember exactly when I did it in my other account, but you can then customize that and shorten it however you like. Just make sure you read up on all the terms and conditions before you do that. So any changes here, let's press save settings, and there we go. You might like to customize your profile. If you click on that option and customize, then you can add a photo here, set up two-factor authentication for added security, and change your password as needed. And make sure you save any changes. If I click the Convertkit logo, it takes me back to the subscribers page, and I'm still getting my report here, things we've seen before. One last point, I can change the amount of time I see on these, but that's really for you to have a go and have a play. So before you go, remember to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. We've just done a full course's worth of content on Convertkit, all on here, just for free, to make sure that you don't have to go through the struggles, the trials and tribulations that I did. And be sure to check out my other videos on this channel to help you with your tech online, to save that hassle and frustration that I went to. Share this with anyone you think would enjoy it or benefit from it, and help to grow this channel so I can keep doing more videos like this to help you and many more out there. Thanks for watching, and best of luck with all your online endeavors on your digital journey. I'll see you in another video.